The following is a presentation from PokerStars.com. Previously, on the big game, our loose cannon introduced himself.
Wow, 8-9 under the gun?
I'm Aaron.
Young Scott Seiver debuted his signature pose.
What is this, Scott, really?
And Tony G set his sights on Vanessa.
Vanessa, that's disgraceful.
But hunting's not much fun when the rabbit has the big guns.
If you win the hand, you keep me quiet.
All in.
Call.
What will happen next? Find out tonight on the big game.
Come on, Tony.
PokerStars.com Big Game.
Welcome to Las Vegas and the big game. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose. And tonight, some of the poker world's best have ponied up close to 900 grand in our state-of-the-art poker room.
Local Vegas pro Todd Brunson has quietly lost over $10,000 while barely uttering a peep.
While young Scott Seiver has been running his mouth and his profits, he's up over 78 grand.
The player in the Beastie Boys hat, Vanessa Rousso, is up the price of a brass monkey, $108,000.
And alas, kind and gentle Tony G, he's been getting crushed. He is down nearly $165,000.
Our loose cannon tonight is a 28-year-old self-proclaimed nerd out of Seattle, Washington, Aaron Jensen. He's been playing fast, loose, and very decent. After 34 hands of play, he's down a whopping big blind.
And our sixth player is Canada's leading export, Daniel Negreanu. He's with Amanda Leatherman.
Daniel, so what do you think of the loose cannon so far? He looks like he's playing all right.
You know, he seems almost like he's a professional poker player. He doesn't look out of character here. I don't know yet what he's up to, but I feel like I can maybe bully him a little bit.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to bully him, I think. Maybe.
I noticed that you really want Tony G to be in this game.
Tony G's fun. You know, he's action. That's what makes the game great. Is a guy like Tony G, he's a good player, but he plays lots of pots, and that just creates more like fun. I mean, everybody wants action. Everybody wants to get it in. That's why we're here.
And he talks a lot.
Yeah, he certainly does. He does. He's got a great life.
Exactly.
Right?
All right, get out there and get some chips.
Here are the rules for the loose cannon. Each one has been staked 100 grand and keeps all profits above the initial 100,000. At season's end, the loose cannon who's won the most money earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
Here's our leading loose cannon so far, Nadia Magnus. She set the mark high when she walked away at $63,600.
So Aaron's got some work to do. Action begins on Scott Seiver. King 5 offsuit. Raises to 1,500. Brunson folds. 9-7 suited for the loose cannon. Calls.
You did consider a re-raise, didn't you? Mr. Cannon.
Tony calls. Vanessa's out. Daniel folds.
I'm back in full flight. I'm back to my old ways. Back, baby.
He's back in action.
Back in town.
We almost lost Tony last night after he dusted off almost $175,000.
Trey 6-9 on the flop. Top pair for the loose cannon. Seiver checks.
Both Tony and Aaron have flopped their live card.
A bet of 3,000 by Jensen. Tony calls, and Scott folds.
Would you flop something there on that?
Aaron's got Tony dominated, and he's careful not to give anything away.
King of clubs.
The butcher of Baghdad. You better have a peek if it's there.
Aaron doesn't seem to be deterred by the king, the club, or the butcher of Baghdad to his left.
You're not even peeking if you got a club?
He bets 7,000.
Even I got to look. That's just firing on all cylinders.
Tony seems to be picking up on Aaron's aggression.
Really? You just went and made a... Just made a flush?
Tony knows what a strong move it is to bet when that card hits. You can't help but question it.
Wow, look at that neck pumping away. Take it.
Tony's out.
Did you say, look at that neck pumping away? Look at that neck pumping away.
I must fall to his neck.
Can I choose one card? One card.
Tony?
Mental note, wear an ascot next time. Aaron starts off with a nice pot. And Joe, you mentioned Tony might have picked up on his aggressive play.
It's pretty hard to miss. We measure aggression factor by adding up bets and raises and then dividing by calls. The clear leader is our loose cannon, Aaron Jensen. It's his style and it's working for him. To show up and be more aggressive than this table full of animals is a win in itself, if you ask me.
One of the least aggressive players, Todd Brunson, remains that way. Aaron, 10 deuce, out.
I was just trying to be friendly.
Believe me, I know you were, but I just can't call.
Tony folds.
What'd you have there on that hand?
Queen Jack for
cards.
Vanessa.
Yeah, I know that. You would have had outs no matter what.
He looked at one. They were actually about to tap him on the shoulder and tell him, but
She raises to 1,000. Daniel's out. Queen 6 suited for Scott. Calls.
Right now, our pot is between our 2 chip leaders at the table.
The flop. 9 ace 8. Seiver checks. Vanessa checks.
Vanessa had the best hand already. She also flopped a gut shot to the nuts.
Now her hand improves with a jack on the turn.
Vanessa's paired her kicker. Scott's now drawing to a chop.
He bets 1,300.
Vanessa's wondering if Scott would have checked a hand on the flop that would have her beat now like an ace or a straight draw. He probably would have bet either one.
Vanessa raises to 3,000.
Vanessa's raising for value, but she's given Scott an opportunity to bomb here and take it away from her. Let's see if he's thinking about doing just that.
Nope, Scott folds.
nice hand, Vanessa.
Even though she chased out a guy who was drawing dead, if she just called and he fired a big bet on the river, it would have put her in a bad spot.
While Vanessa rakes in another pot, let's take a moment to go over the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit and then no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 400 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. And every player begins with at least $100K but can reload for up to $500,000. Action begins on the loose cannon. Aaron Jensen from Seattle, Washington folds.
Obviously now I have to be raising
Yeah, I agree. You got
because
saved off a
I'm
fun.
trapped.
How to speak Australian. Trapped is the same as stuck.
Okay, thank you. Action folds around to Todd Brunson, who's got a hand.
I think we're going to see Todd Brunson come out of hibernation.
Calls.
Scooby-Doo, how bad is it? Are we low or are we? We could have the same hand. Then just give me the pot.
The flop, 4-8-10, top set for Brunson, who checks. Tony bets 2,000.
Date with an 8.
The poker poet laureate's betting second pair into the rockiest player at the table. Todd's got the nuts and he knows Tony's reputation.
I'm gonna fold if you raise.
Okay, Todd raises to 6,000.
That makes it easy,
I
right?
can't fold.
Tony calls.
I gotta see the turn.
Tony must think his 8's good, but Todd's been playing really tight.
The turn, deuce of hearts.
Todd's got Tony drawing dead.
And Brunson fires 12-2.
Todd's still got the nuts for this board. He wants to make Tony pay to continue to draw.
All right, I call.
Tony calls.
Not sure why Tony's calling. His 8 is almost never going to be good in this spot against a guy with an image like Todd's.
The river, 4 of diamonds, giving Todd Brunson a full house.
Todd's got to be thinking Tony's got a better hand than he actually does, so he may think he can get paid on a decent-sized value bet.
The bet is 21-2.
I call.
Tony calls.
Wow.
Tony may have leveled himself from his own table talk.
Todd wins a pot of 82,000.
Just wait for the nuts. Just play the one hand. Very nice.
Joe, Tony seems to think that Todd isn't playing too many hands. What do the numbers tell us?
Well, Chris, let's take a look. Todd is last in all of these categories, lowest VPIP. He hasn't won a single hand pre-flop, and he's won the least amount of pots so far. But I can tell you the only stat Todd cares about is the one that says he's got a profit of over 30K.
Perhaps something Tony should have been thinking about before he kept calling. The big game is just heating up. More from Las Vegas coming your way after this. Welcome back to the big game. Vanessa Rousso, one of our big winners so far, won a nice-sized pot against Daniel Negreanu on last night's show with pocket tens. It was a tricky hand for Daniel to navigate as he allows us to go behind the poker face.
So pretty much anytime you're in a poker game, the person on your immediate right is the one you want to abuse. And in this game, you know, I'd already been re-raising Vanessa a little bit and just trying to be a pain in her side, you know? I'm on her left, I want her to have to guess against me, and I want to play a lot of pots when I'm in position. So on this hand here, I came in raising the 8-5 of spades. Not a great hand, but, you know, not so bad when you're six-handed. Gets folded around all the way to Vanessa, and she raised my 1,200 up to 4,000. And I thought, we're plenty deep. We have more than enough chips for me to make this call correct. So my goal here is to call and either try to outplay her if I miss, or try to hit something big and get her to pay me off with the worst hand. So now the flop comes 3-6-7 with 2 diamonds. So that gives me the open-ended straight draw. I can catch a 4 or a 9 to make my straight. She goes ahead and she bets 6,000 on the flop. There's many ways I can play this. I could represent a set and raise her, but based on past history, I thought it was best to wait and see what developed first before I raise her on the flop. I didn't think I could get her off the hand right away. Now the turn card was the 4 diamonds. Now that's kind of a weird card because I made my straight, but it also put a flush out there. And it's also obvious that there's only a 1-card straight out there. I'm thinking, you know, Vanessa knows how I play, so she knows that I could easily have that. But then I noticed that she went to bet. Like she wanted to bet like 10,000 or something. She cut out a bet and she was thinking about betting. So now I'm thinking that she has like an ace-high flush already, or she has a hand like 2 jacks or 2 queens with a diamond in her hand. Finally, she decides to check the hand. Now I have the straight. Almost for sure I got the best hand. But I'm thinking, if she has a diamond in her hand, she's probably not going to fold. However, if I wait to the river, I still think I can get the value bid in on the river. So I decide I'm gonna check, then if nothing comes on the river, and she checks, I'm gonna go ahead and bet about 12 or 15,000 and hope that she calls with her overpair, which is what I kind of think she has at that point. And the river card comes, the king of diamonds, she checks, I checks, and she turned over 2 tens with the 10 of diamonds. So I was actually right in where she was range-wise, and I really like the fact that I checked on the turn in that spot. You know, in the bigger scope of things, I couldn't really stand a check raise. Like if she had 2 aces with the ace of diamonds, I know she's capable of check raising me there because she did it to me in a previous hand. So overall, I think I played it safe and I didn't really risk anything value-wise because I could have got that bet in on the river.
Daniel played that hand creatively based on past experience with Vanessa. It saved him money, and that's also a very important part of the game. Now to get inside Tony's head, I'm pretty sure I know what he's thinking. Stop spewing, get chips, fold when Todd raises.
Well, here's his first chance. Action on Tony G, and he raises to 1,500. Vanessa folds. Daniel suited, gets out of here. Seiver also suited, but he's playing, calls. Todd folds. And Aaron Jensen, the loose cannon, also suited, but he folds.
On the other end of the spectrum of Todd, we've got Scott Seiver. Tony can be pretty sure ace-jack is ahead of his range.
King, queen, deuce, all clubs.
Top and bottom for Seiver.
Too easy.
Tony's got a gut shot and a flush draw.
And fires 3,000.
Pretty sure Scott knows he's ahead.
Comes over the top to 11,000.
With no club in his hand, he's trying to protect his 2-pair. Tony doesn't really have anything except for a draw here. If he's not folding, he must be trying to think of a way he could make Scott fold. Scott's capable of making a play, but I don't think he'd do it against Tony in this spot.
Tony re-raises to 40,000.
I'm all in.
Scott's all in. Tony calls.
Run it once again, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
He has 2-pair. He has the straight. The straight for sure. Tony, you have a straight.
No.
You have a straight.
This is, again, a too many outs syndrome. I wish he just had ace-jack no club, but then I'd be in trouble. Ace-jack with a club, though? Too many outs.
Scott and his friends contend that too many outs can actually hurt you. Kind of like how when you have kings, there's a 90% chance an ace will hit.
You think you're going to hit this one for once?
No.
He's so due, it's unbelievable.
Jack on the turn.
Okay, now it could be an
Outs.
ace, jack, 10.
Like I said, this is way too many outs syndrome. Way too many outs.
This would be sick if you don't hit this. I'll be really annoyed.
This is just an advanced needle, by the way. There's no reason to do that. Because he's not hitting it. He has too many outs.
He's been missing so much.
I know.
No, you don't. You haven't seen all
Oh,
of
I meant today, at least I know.
Tony has picked up some more outs on the turn. He can make a better 2-pair or trips in addition to a straight or flush.
The river, a brick.
Unreal.
Well done.
You never win any hand.
No.
Crazy.
That's it.
Sorry, Tony.
Well done, Todd. Just wait for the nuts. Take care. Bye.
This time, Tony walks away for good, having lost nearly 280 grand in 38 hands.
No matter what he has, he never wins. Weird.
Thank you, Joe.
There's plenty of cash on the table. Seat open. Who will take it? Find out when we come back to Las Vegas.
Can't needle someone after missing that big a draw. Can't do it. Don't have it in me.
Welcome back to Las Vegas and the big game. Let's take a quick look at the numbers to see where everybody stands.
Well, Scott Seiver has most of Tony's money. Vanessa has a lot of it too, and Todd Brunson got the rest.
The cannon's up a little, Daniel's down a bit, but the big story's Tony G, and right now he's with Amanda.
Tony, it didn't go so well for you out there today.
No, it was a disaster.
Disaster. But you're always willing to put your chips in.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have fun and, play, but things didn't work out. I mean, I haven't hit one hand the whole thing, so it's time to go, You got to know it's bike time. I got to get on my bike and drive back to the win.
I guess we'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time.
All right.
While Tony jumps on his bike, a new player jumps into his old seat. Maybe it'll be luckier for European young gun Lex Veldhuis.
Well, Lex is a 26-year-old pro out of the Netherlands, and my scouting report on him is that he's got a reputation for making big moves, so I'm anticipating more big action.
Lex bought in for 100 grand. Action begins with Scott Seiver.
Figure out, wait a minute, what if I do
Looking
that?
at King
Hey, you're trying,
5
but asking a question.
and folding. Todd, Ace 8. Of course he's out of here.
Still rocking up.
Jensen folds on the button. Lex checks. Vanessa calls.
A clever check.
Go ahead.
Trying to get discount.
Daniel checks as well.
No discount for Lex. He's been forced to post to join the game.
4, 6, 10.
Second pair for Lex, top pair for Vanessa.
Oh, see, I'm not. This is all screwing me up. I'm supposed to be the small blind.
You are.
I mean, you are the small one.
Lex bet 900.
Vanessa tried to check her top pair out of turn.
She calls. Daniel folds. Still with Jack 10, Vanessa. The turn. Trip 10s for Vanessa.
She's not likely to be going anywhere now.
Action on Lex.
If Lex thought he was good on the flop, he'd still be good on the turn.
And fires 2100.
Lex will probably know something's up when Vanessa doesn't fold here.
Vanessa with the smooth call.
Vanessa's just calling, hoping Lex will fire a third time on the river.
And it is a king of hearts on the river.
Lex liked his hand the whole way. Let's see if Vanessa's call on the turn or this king changed anything.
It does. He slows down and checks.
Lex's hand does have some value, so he's going to want to get to showdown as cheaply as possible. Vanessa's going to want a value bet.
She makes it 4,000.
You can tell he doesn't really like the bet.
I was gonna bet if the king didn't come.
Just the king?
Yeah, because now I chop against sixes.
The king counterfeits Lex's kicker. He was ahead of most of the sixes in Vanessa's range, so if she had a six, they're likely to be chopping now. We know Vanessa's got trip 10s. It's a very nice size value bet from Vanessa based on the showdown value of Lex's hand.
Lex calls. And Vanessa wins.
He wasn't ahead of any of the 10s in Vanessa's range, and it's pretty tough to put your opponent on a 10 when the third one hits the turn.
Vanessa picks up a pot of nearly 16 grand.
Welcome to the game. Tony's seat continues to be as hot as...
I mean, it's not that. It's that Vanessa actually hasn't lost the hand today.
Well, that's not exactly true, but when it comes to showdowns, she's had the 5-piece chicken dinner the majority of the time.
And under that Beastie Boys hat is a whole lot of brains. Vanessa is making quite a splash in the poker world.
So I'm definitely a big dork. Graduated valedictorian in my high school and took a scholarship to Duke University undergrad. where I graduated in 2.5 years with a major in economics. Then I went to law school at University of Miami, which is where I was when my poker career kind of took off. So I guess if I weren't a poker player, I would be an attorney. Probably my biggest challenge away from the poker table so far in my career has been the Sports Illustrated swimsuit shoot that I did back in 2009. Being a poker player, you know, sit on my butt all day, so getting into like prime swimsuit shape wasn't exactly something that was easy for me. So it was a challenge, and you know, I'm happy with the results, and I'm glad I did it once in my life. But I like ice cream way too much to keep that good of a physique all the time. I'm really the last girl on earth to try to use her femininity to get an advantage at the poker table. I just have found that that distracts me a lot more than it ever could be an advantage. So I'm probably one of the more conservative dressers as far as females go at the table, a little more sporty. Hopefully I'll find my edge in other places.
Chris, I just want you to know that I am not anywhere near above using my femininity at the poker table.
Yeah, the mesh is a little distracting in here.
It's comfy.
Oh yeah, you spew a lot.
Oh, my reputation precedes me, I see.
40 to 50, top
Of course,
pair.
like half of Holland plays with your money.
It's really true, by the way.
Really? Half of Holland?
Yeah.
All the internet phenoms crush you?
We have like posters.
Posters of
Yeah,
Scott Seiver?
there's this Dutch forum where they all talk about how I'm the worst.
That's not true though.
Daniel raises.
That's not true, though.
Do you play cash games much? Not really, right? Obviously. I mean, no, sorry. No, I mean like.
This is, you know,
Just messing with them.
I did not sign up for this.
Todd calls.
That's not true. I think I specifically did sign up for exactly this. Yeah, I was like, oh, I knew this was coming.
When Todd calls, he knows he's way ahead of Daniel's button range.
Now he's really ahead after he hits his ace.
Todd's checked to Daniel to let him continuation bet.
2,200 on the bet by Negreanu.
There's not really a point in raising here. Worse hands will fold, better hands will call.
Todd calls. The turn. 6 of hearts. Todd checks. Daniel drawing dead.
Looks like Daniel's trying to bluff at it again.
That's 4,500.
I think it's unlikely that Todd would fold here. If he doesn't, Daniel's options are going to be very limited on the river. I think Todd is pretty sure he still has the best hand. A raise is still pointless, though.
Todd just calls.
We'll see if after that call, Daniel shuts down, although he can only win this hand with a bluff.
The river. 5 of hearts. Todd checks.
Daniel's got a pair of 5s, but it looks like he's not giving up on this bluff. He might think that since he bluffed the turn, he has to bluff the river too, and that maybe Todd is playing so tight that he'd have to fold an ace to a 3-barrel bluff.
Daniel makes it 15,800 to go.
Todd's trying to figure out if there really is any way he can be beat. 2 gut shots came in with the 5, and a 4 is definitely in Daniel's range.
He's pulled out the calling chips.
He just has to figure out how often Daniel will be bluffing in this spot.
Did you make a straight or you had a 4?
You always put me on garbage.
Is that actually nervous laughter from Daniel?
Brunson calls.
I have a 5.
Such a sick river.
That's good. Straight. You put me on a straight. That made me laugh.
I'll admit, I put you on a straight as well. I really did.
That's right.
I was really thought he had the
Thought I had a
7-8.
straight?
I thought you had 7-8.
Todd Brunson may not get to showdown very often, but when he does, he's winning it every single time so far.
And now he's up over 54 grand. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Welcome back to the big game in Las Vegas. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I am Chris Rose. Hand 43 out of 150 begins with Lex Veldhuis. Big slick. Raises to 1,500. Vanessa folds. Daniel's out. Scott Seiver. He's got the giggles. Queen 6.
6 diamonds out already.
Scott calls.
Nice.
Todd in the small blind. He's out.
Here's an idea for a new drinking game. Every time Todd plays a hand, take a shot.
Aaron Jensen calls. So it'll be 3 to the flop, including our loose cannon. Trey 10-7. Jensen checks top pair.
He's decided to play in flow.
Lex bets 2,600.
Lex is pretty likely to think he has the best hand.
Scott folds.
They promised me you would make action.
Did they?
Yeah.
I think they had him at $100,000 amateur free roll.
26.
Aaron calls.
Good call.
A king on the turn. Check by Jensen. Lex now with top pair.
I think check calling the flop was the right move for Aaron. He just got kind of unlucky that Lex paired his king on the turn.
Lex fires 6,300.
If Aaron's reaching for chips, it means he could get into some real trouble here.
Over the top to 15,000 by the cannon.
This may be Aaron's first misstep. It looks like he's bluffing, but I don't think he's thought about what hands he can get to fold that he's not already beating. I'm sure for Lex, this bet means more coming from an amateur, but I don't see him laying down top.
He doesn't. He calls.
Now that Lex has called, Aaron might slow down and try to get his 10 to showdown.
The river. The 8 of hearts.
If Aaron is going to continue his bluff, this is a good card to do it. Double gutters got there, hearts got there. It's just going to take a healthy sized bet.
Nope, Jensen checks.
Couldn't pull the trigger. Lex is thinking value bet, but there isn't a whole lot worse out there that he'd get called with.
All right.
Lex checks. And wins the showdown.
Costly second pair for Aaron.
Lex wins a pot of nearly 41,000.
Aaron is just expressionless. Has anyone checked him for batteries?
Is there an app for that?
Never can be too careful, I guess.
Whatever. Just because you know what a value bet means now, doesn't mean you know when to correctly do it.
Wait, answer isn't always? Pretty sure it is. It's one of those things that's like by definition. If you're good, it's check to you, last street.
Let's check what Vanessa has. Oh, that's aces.
She won a monster pot from Tony G with aces yesterday.
A raise to 1,000.
I'm always just going to play perfect poker.
Yeah.
Now you understand.
Daniel folds.
Vanessa's made a small raise, but this has been her standard raise so far this session.
Action folds to the cannon.
It's kind of a weird spot.
He's out. Lex calls.
Right here? This is the weird spot?
No, the hand, that hand's a weird spot.
Lex has made a pretty standard defend.
4-king tray, top 2 pair for Lex.
Lex has outflopped aces.
And fires 2,500.
Vanessa's in a tough spot here. There's no way for her to know her aces are beat. If she doesn't tread lightly, she could lose a monster pot.
Vanessa calls.
Vanessa's once again chosen to play her aces kind of slow, try to disguise the strength of her hand.
The turn, the queen of hearts.
Lex still has to like his 2 pair.
Lex bets 7,700.
Vanessa might be thinking about putting in a raise here, but Lex has played this hand pretty strong. He fired on the flop and on the turn. So the pot's already pretty big. Let's see what she decides to do.
Vanessa calls.
Vanessa may be playing it safe now rather than slow.
The river and the board pairs, giving Vanessa the edge.
It's a brutal card for Lex. He just got counterfeited, and because the board paired smaller than his 4s, he's got to put Vanessa on aces to know it.
Lex bets.
Call.
and sees the bad news.
Oh, sick rivers. Unbelievable.
Pretty good with these rivers with aces.
Last night we saw Vanessa double through Tony with aces. Tony had flopped 2 pair, but she caught up to him. I'm beginning to think it's just an unlucky chair.
Vanessa doesn't mind who's sitting to her right. She rakes in a pot worth $60,000. Can anybody slow her down? We're coming back to find out. Stick around.
When I first heard the loose cannon concept, I thought it was awesome for a lot of reasons. It seems like just a great concept overall to have some random male or female get to play with people they have seen on TV and have the fun of playing with these people and have the fun of playing with legitimate, serious money in a spot where I'm sure most of these people haven't dealt with such numbers before. And you have the ability to go home and win huge, but if you happen to lose, it's not like you lost $100,000. You just, you didn't win the big jackpot in your game. So I think it's just all around a lot of fun and great for everyone.
Let's be honest, all Scott Seiver sees when he looks at Aaron Jensen is Ben Franklin's head on a loose cannon's body.
Well, he's down 64 Ben Franklin's right now.
Are you winning? You must be winning, huh, Cannon?
No, yeah.
Oh, other than that, you're doing good, though?
He's down 4,000.
You're like basically even.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you start shipping it. That's going to be the fun part. Wee! Wee. You got that in you, I can tell. You got the ship.
No.
Yeah.
I agree with Daniel. He seemed pretty fearless so far.
Action folds to the cannon. King, queen offsuit.
Here he comes.
Raised to 1,500.
I can't ship it pre-flop.
There will be no shipping pre-flop. We're pot limit until that flop hits.
Vanessa, king 9 suited.
Once every 18 hands.
Re-raised to 4,000. And the cannon quickly calls.
We've seen Aaron raise pretty light in position, but Vanessa hasn't yet. She's trying to get rid of Daniel to isolate Aaron.
7, ace, 10. Rousso fires 6,000 with nothing.
Vanessa's betting out of position because she took the pre-flop lead with her 3-bet.
Jensen calls with a gut shot.
It's a pretty adventurous call. Even if he doesn't give Vanessa credit for an ace, he could still be well behind.
4 of diamonds on the turn. Doesn't improve Rousseau's hand. She checks.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Aaron actually floated the turn with the intention of trying to bluff this pot, it looks like.
He bets 11,000.
Our loose cannon has just bombed Vanessa Rousso. She's got nothing but a king high right now.
She folds, and now the loose cannon is on the plus side.
Aaron was bluffing with the best hand, but I think it's very unlikely that he knows that.
Just like that.
Poker. So she can be beat. That's all I'm thinking right now.
Well, I didn't let her see the river. That's the trick.
You really can't let that river come off.
Vanessa's done very well in the river this session, snapping off both Lex and Tony.
She is on the button this hand as Todd Brunson looks at ace 7 and folds.
No shots for anyone this hand.
Okay, me and you.
Yeah.
Everybody folds to Daniel.
Let's do something fun. Let's just do that.
Raised to 1,500.
You have position, you can't fold.
Scott has position. He can't
Don't
fold.
know that, Scott. There you go.
Scott calls.
I'm gonna try a little Tony G move. Tony G move one time. A little dark fire.
Tony G's last move was for the door after he dusted off a $250,000.
9 trade jack.
Daniel's flopped and open-ended.
The dark raise.
Second pair for Seiver.
I'm only calling because I'm thinking maybe you'll dark bet the turn.
I will. What the hell? Why not? I'll try 5,600.
Okay.
Daniel betting in the dark again.
Okay, let's do this. I don't want to see it.
Another 9.
What is it? Tell me.
It's the 9 of spades.
Yes! Okay.
Daniel said exactly what Scott's thinking.
Scott's got trips now.
That was fun. I don't usually do that. You talked me into dark betting. So bizarre.
No way Scott's folding. He's probably trying to decide whether to call or raise.
Raise.
Yeah, see, that was stupid. Oh, brother.
Daniel facing a raise to 25 grand.
That's kind of stupid of me to do that. I want to see the river. Show me a rabbit hunt.
Daniel folds, and we're rabbit hunting.
Okay. Phew. No, I didn't.
Do you want to see it then?
10? No. Better
See,
than
Scott
that.
turned all business as soon as some money was at stake.
Good bluff, kid. Good bluff.
So Daniel thinks he was bluffed.
Shouldn't have dark bet. That was dumb. So silly. How did I let you talk me into that?
Here's the truth. We're coming back after this. Welcome back to the big game in Las Vegas, where 28-year-old Aaron Jensen has been staked $100 grand to play against some of poker's brightest stars, and right now he's holding his own, up about $2 grand.
His profit margin isn't exactly indicative of his level of play.
I think that's that time.
Yes.
I think it's that time of night.
Yes.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's straddle time.
Ooh.
I just wanted to get a Daniel ooh.
Action will start on Scott since Daniel's straddling. 6 trays suited.
Daniel's straddling, but Scott looks like the sleeper.
Raised to 3,100.
Todd Brunson has an insta folded. I think we're either seeing the very bottom of Todd's range or the bear is coming out of the cave to feed.
Raise.
A raise to 10 grand. Aaron folds. Lex is out. So's Vanessa.
This is the first 3-bet we've seen from Todd. He's been playing extremely nitty. This would be a pretty loose call from Daniel. For some reason, he really likes this hand.
Forget about a call. He's coming over the top to 28-8.
How much did you start the hand with, Todd? Or do you have like orange chips or anything? I can't see. Thank you.
Scott insists on making Todd go through the motions. I doubt he's going to make a play with 6-3 suited.
You have like 160 about?
I don't know, man. No idea.
Even though Daniel's got a playable hand, I'm going to say this is a 4-bet bluff. It's tough to think that King-Queen would be good against both of these guys, especially against Todd's first 3-bet.
Scott folds.
I wonder if Daniel picks something up on Todd. Re-raising with King-Queen seems very aggressive against the tightest player at the table. Todd knows Daniel's capable of just about anything. He seems hesitant to lay this one down.
Todd's out.
One of those sexy 4-bet bluffs.
Yeah, 4-bet. Yeah, 4-bet bluff. You can pick a card, either card. No, you can't. Never mind.
Cold.
Tease.
What's that?
Tease.
So Daniel takes that healthy pot down without a flop. What do you make of that, Joe?
Daniel's choosing his spots wisely, and it's working out for him. He's got the second highest percentage for pre-flop wins at the table next to Scott. Scott is winning pre-flop a whopping 11% of the time. He's got a tight player and an amateur to his left, so he can raise their blinds easily and 3-bet people who open on their blinds as well.
I'm shipping it, but 20.
Well, Scott will be on the button this hand.
That's scary. Yeah.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
Actually, Lex is from the Netherlands.
Action folds to Daniel. Pocket 4s. Raised to 1,500. Queen 10 offsuit for Scott Seiver. Makes the call. Todd folds an ace. And Aaron, suited connectors.
This is a hand you'll see a lot of our pros play.
Re-raise.
Wah, wah, wee, wah.
I'd say there's a chance Aaron's aggression is beginning to border on insanity.
Daniel facing a re-raise to 5,400.
Call.
Calls. And Seiver folds.
You're just trying to outplay me after the flop, huh? Huh? Calling and folding over
Trying?
there. Trying.
Succeeding.
Wait, not this hand.
2 to the flop. King 9 deuce.
Aaron's flopped a big draw, which should be good enough for him to continue to rep a big hand.
He fires 6,000 with a flush draw. Daniel's 4s are still best.
But the loose cannon is the statistical favorite due to his 2 overcards to go with his flush draw.
And Daniel's out of here.
Nice hand.
Thank you.
Another nice, bold play from the loose cannon.
You're begging to show.
What's that?
You really wanted to show that hand, right?
Why would I show that hand?
And with that, Aaron creeps up just a little bit closer to our leading loose cannon, Nadia Magnus. Remember, the loose cannon who takes home the most money also wins that $50,000 North American Poker Tour passport.
Unlike some past loose cannons, Aaron's done a great job of not showing down his uncalled hands, not giving away any information.
We get a good look at the hand of Vanessa Rousso. Ace-9. Limps in. Pocket fours again for Daniel. Raised to 1,600. Seiver folds. Todd folds. I'm going to call it before he does it. Yeah.
Chris, do you have any lines on the lottery numbers tonight?
No, thanks. I just do poker tables, pal. Back over to Vanessa, who limped in.
She limped before. I don't really see her folding now, though. It is an odd hand to limp with under the gun.
She does make the call.
Daniel's got the lead and position over Vanessa.
2 to the flop. Deuce, tray.
Somehow Daniel's managed to dodge overcards with pocket fours.
Vanessa checks. Daniel fires 3,000.
Vanessa's got 2 overcards with the ace of diamonds.
And calls.
She doesn't like to break her perfect pyramids. It's a pet peeve of mine.
People that don't are breaking
She
it.
thinks the ace high might be good here sometimes.
Daniel's just looking to start a fight.
6 of diamonds on the turn. Vanessa checks the nut flush draw.
Daniel still got the best hand, but he's also picked up a gut shot straight flush draw.
Fires 5,600.
Vanessa looks like she's cutting out a raise. This would be a check raise, so she's hoping to rep a pretty strong hand.
Vanessa over the top to 11,200.
She probably doesn't realize this board isn't all that scary to Daniel.
And he quickly calls.
That min raise combined with the board wasn't enough to take Daniel off his hand.
Off to the river. The 8 of spades. Vanessa checks again.
Looks like Vanessa's given up once she misses the river. The question is, does Daniel really think he can value bet his hand?
A lot of whistling, a lot of nodding.
I guess, overall, I would say the right play is probably to check it.
Ace high.
Daniel takes down a pot of nearly 33K.
Phew, that's the one hand I could beat.
What was it?
Ace of diamonds.
Oh, okay. Okay.
5 of diamonds is what I was rooting for.
Daniel picks up another nice pot. Let's see how that affects his standings.
Daniel is still losing, down about 21K. Tony G's losses were massive. Lex is down about 12K.
Vanessa's up over 120 grand, and Scott has over 140,000 in profits. And our loose cannon Aaron Jensen is also in Profitville, up over 9K.
All right, that's going to end things for now. So while 2 young guns, Vanessa and Scott, continue to clean up, our loose cannon is still holding his own at this table full of sharks. Join us tomorrow to see which direction Aaron's stack will go. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now, and remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game.
For Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose. See you tomorrow night.
How you doing?
Good.
Feeling better?
I'm okay.
Talking your ear off?
He's
doing good.
calling all my raises. That's his goal today.
Me?
Yes, all my raises he's gonna.
I think this is, a perception bias here. I have no idea what you're talking about.
The preceding was a presentation from PokerStars.com.